Good afternoon, everybody. Um, so I hope everybody's ready for the lesson. So a very warm welcome to all the participants joining us today for this guest lecture via YouTube live stream. So we are very glad that we have such a vibrant community of learners, gathered here today for this exciting guest lecture. So let me just introduce myself first. So my name is Kalen, and I'll be hosting today's guest lecture. So before we begin, let's start with a quick question to maybe get your minds a little bit warmed up for what we're about to learn and what we're about to hear from the guest lecture today. So just have this question in your mind as we begin. So have you ever wondered why some of the world's most creative solutions didn't just come from experts in the field, but also from people that actually just simply ask the right questions. And from those very questions, sparks very interesting solutions, very interesting ideas. So that's exactly what our session is going to be about today. So keep that in mind as we explore this a little bit further. So the topic is going to be about design thinking. And it's actually a method, but more than that, it's actually a mindset. So using that mindset, it helps to solve problems in very innovative ways. So since we have such a big group with us here online today, let's do a little bit of an activity to get everybody engaged. Okay, so we're going to try a very quick poll just to get the ideas going, get the ideas started. So we're going to have some questions through this QR code. So if you could just sign in via this QR code, and we're going to have some very quick questions just to spark some ideas and see where everybody's head is at. So if you look at the first question, yeah. So if you can just look at the first question first, you can just answer that question, and then we can look at what kind of answers you all come up with. So it won't take too long, maybe just a minute or so. Glad to see there's a lot of answers coming in. So if you notice from this question, actually the same answers are actually piled up together. So you can see the most popular ones piled up as bigger words. Okay, thank you for the answers, everybody. So you can see that there's quite a few interesting ones that appear here. So all these you can explore this further. So moving on to the next question, it's a kind of like a follow-up. Do you think these are challenges, like these challenges are a problem or an opportunity? Okay, very interesting. So we see there's a majority that considers it both, but there's still a small party for either just many problems or many opportunities. Okay, so now we go to the third question, which is just for us now, which is more important? Is a great idea more important, or is it just to understand people? So think about the very big challenges that was mentioned earlier. Do you think it's more important to have a good idea or to just understand the person? So you can see that there's a vast majority that thinks about that focuses more on understanding the person individually. Okay, yeah, so that's very interesting. So from these questions, it leads to curiosity, which is actually the correct answer. So when we look at the questions that we are asking just now, it's not just focusing on just one saying that the other is wrong and so on and so forth, but what is the correct answer? So today's session will explain how we need to see the challenges around us and potentially how we can look to using design thinking to maybe potentially look for a solution in the right manner or to actually address the correct solution. So please be informed that the content mentioned during the mass lectures will actually be in the quiz. So if you all were in the briefing last week, you would know that there are going to be some quizzes. So one of the quizzes is going to be on design thinking. So try to stay fully focused on today's session. Listen very carefully, take down the notes that you need, and keep yourself engaged in whatever we're going to be learning. Okay, so if you have any questions during the session, please send your questions via Slido or in the forum. So if you look at the current slide, you can scan this QR code first and just keep it aside. So you can access this Slido page and you can just put in your questions and then we will try and answer those questions during the Q&A after the session. Okay. So you may also view the items for all the items here in the Design Thinking Week 2 section on the module site. So you can look through that and you can look at the materials to understand the concepts further and also look at some additional details. Okay, so now let's move on to the highlight of today's session. So it's a great pleasure for me to introduce our distinguished guest speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Eugene Peck Chuen Kee. So he is the head of school for the School of Management and Marketing here in Taylor's University. So Professor Eugene Peck is here today with us to share insights on design thinking and how we can apply it to professional fields as well as our everyday lives. So without further ado, let's welcome Professor Eugene.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kellen. Yeah, let me put on the slides. Yeah. Right, Kellen, can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, good afternoon, girls and boys. Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity today to speak to you in the mass lecture on design thinking for problem solving. Yeah, so basically, in one of the questions that were asked earlier on, that ask you about innovation. What is it? Is it a great idea, or is it something that we have to understand on people's need? I think majority of you said that innovation is actually understanding people's need. And this is exactly what I'm going to share today with all of you. All right. So let me start off with some lecture outline here. Firstly, what we do here is that I would like to share with you a little bit on my design thinking journey. All right. And then after that, we talk a little bit about what empathy is, and then we move on into what design thinking is. And we will end up with the whole process being explained to all of you, all right, in terms of the processes, in terms of the tools that we can use, and in terms of the application of design thinking. Now, if you have any questions, if you need to ask me throughout the lecture or the talk, you can just stop me, all right? And we will be able to discuss your questions. Right. I was first introduced to design thinking in Dublin, in year 2015, and I have since got very interested into looking at how design thinking can actually help us to come up with very, very innovative solutions to all sorts of questions, all sorts of problems that we are facing in our daily lives. Design thinking is important because it can be used by anyone, of all ages and in any context that you wish. So since 2016, I have been, facilitating talks and also workshops on design thinking. And I find that this has actually helped a lot of people to be more creative and also at the same time be able to come out with more innovative solutions. Now, design thinking has taught me to empathize on people, to empathize on solutions, to situations, and also at the same time to be efficient and be effective. Right. What do we mean by being effective but not being efficient but not effective? Now, take for example, when we do things, we might find that sometimes we have put in a lot of effort, we have been efficient, but at the same time, when we get the results are not very, very good, and the results are not what we wish to have, and therefore we are not effective. So this is the reason why sometimes when we do our assignments, for example, we have sleepless nights looking at our assignment, but sometimes the marks that we get is not what we wish for. All right. So henceforth, from this example, what we can see here is that you are efficient. You spend sleepless night. You spend hours and hours per day to work on your assignment. You're efficient, but your marks seems to be low because you're not effective. Now, why is that so? That is so because we do not understand what the other person would like to see or hear from us. If you are able to empathize, then you will realize that whatever we do will not be only efficient, but it will also be effective. Now, what is empathizing? Empathize means we have to look at the other person's need. Most of the time, when we come to a question that is given to us or a problem that we face in our lifetime, we are very quick in finding solutions. We are taught to find solutions quickly, all right? And because we find solutions quickly, it is always, that we will come out with solutions which we think is right for others, but it may not be effective for the person whom you are sharing your ideas. So do not be too quick in finding solutions. All right, we have to be user-centricism, meaning we have to look at what the user needs and what the user wants. All right. Now, so what we do here is we try to take a step back and empathize. So I would like to reiterate that a lot of times we are being efficient but not effective simply because we do not understand the root cause problem of someone, all right, or the questions that the lecturers would like to pose to you. Now, moving on, we will say that we have to take a step back and empathize. So what do? One of the good tools that we would like to have or would like to use is this tool called the 5 Whys. Now, the 5 Whys is actually a tool that asks us to go through 5 levels of questions before we can come up with the root cause problem. Now, solving root cause problem is important because we do not only want to solve the symptoms, which will not really help us for a long time, or it is not sustainable. Take an example. How these 5 Whys can actually help us to drill into the root cause so that we do not treat only the symptoms. Now, if we only look into the symptoms, we are only being efficient, but we will not be effective because we are not solving the root cause problem. So let us see how this can be practiced in our daily lives. An example here is, why did the student fail the examination? Yeah, that is our question. The first question, the first why. Why did the student fail the exam? Now, the answer is because they didn't study enough. Now, if we stop here, therefore, we will say that the student has to study more hours. All right. But is that the root cause problem? We haven't come to 5 whys yet. We are only at the first why. Therefore, what we see here is that the answer to that is because they didn't study enough. So if you are very quick in giving an answer, all right, then what you do is that you will add on to your study hours. That means you'll study more than what you are doing. But will that help you? Let's see. We move on to the next level of the question. Why didn't they study enough? The answer is because they didn't manage their time well. All right. So if that's the case, what do? Again, if you are too quick in giving an answer or too quick in giving a solution, you'll realize that whatever you do is going to help you to manage the time well more, but it hasn't come out to help you to solve the root cause problem. So let's look at the third why. Because they didn't manage their time well, yeah. So why did they not manage their time well? Okay, it might be because they were overwhelmed with multiple assignments and extracurricular activities. Yes, this might be the reason. Now, if this is the reason, is this the root cause? Not yet, right? Let's go on to the fourth why. The fourth why here is that they ask you, why were they overwhelmed with multiple assignments and activities? And the answer given is because they didn't plan their schedule or prioritize tasks effectively. Now, again, are you now retreating the root cause? You still haven't come up with the root cause yet. Whatever you see in the rates, in the red boxes, are all only symptoms. So if you treat the symptoms, you are not actually treating the whole problem. Okay, now then we look at the last one. Why didn't they plan or prioritize effectively? Now the answer comes. It is because they haven't learned or practiced time management strategies. Okay, so the reason why the students fail the exam, yes, and the root cause is they have not learned time management. All right. So the other red boxes are not the root cause. They are only symptoms. So if you do not move on to the last root cause, you might see that a lot of times when you solve the problems, you are only solving the symptoms. And that's why you will never be effective. You will only be efficient, but you will not be effective. All right. So at the end of the day, then what should you do? The root cause problem has been identified. Yes, we have lack of time management skills, and therefore the solution is to attend time management workshop. All right. The solution is not asking you to study more hours. The solution is not asking you to manage the time even better than what you're doing now. All right. The solution is not asking you to plan your schedule or prioritize your tasks effectively, because all these are only symptoms which will not help you to solve your actual problem. But in this context of these 5 whys which we have run through, we realize that the root cause problem is now lack of time management skills, and therefore the solution is to attend time management workshop. And that is the root cause of the problem. All right. Now you can try this, by using your own issues or your own problems, and you go through 5 whys, and you realize that at the end of the day, you are actually getting into the real reason why you have this particular problem. So back to what we have said earlier on. Number 1, we have to take a step back, try to think more. And that's where 5 whys will be a tool, will be a good tool to help you, to look into the actual cause and the actual reason. So girls and boys, I hope that you understand what I'm trying to say here, with this simple illustration. For us to not only empathize, to learn how to empathize, to learn how to understand other people's feeling and needs, okay, it will also help us to be effective and efficient. All right. So these are some of the examples that I would like to share with you in terms of 5 whys, helping you to take a step back, helping you to think more, helping you to go to the root cause problem. So in short, what are we supposed to do? In short, what we are encouraged to do is to practice empathy by asking good questions, right? When you ask good questions, you will be able to go into the root cause problem of the issue, of the person's problem, and you are able then to render assistance and help to them. Now, then being user-centric, always remember whatever we do, we have to understand people's need so that at the end of the day, what they need from us, we are able to give. And there will be no quarrel, there will be no misunderstanding among ourselves. Right. To empathize, to be user-centric, what is it for? It is for us to solve root cause problems, as I've been saying. Okay, and when we do that, we will be able to empathize, we will be able to be efficient, and we will be able to be effective. Right. So knowing this, I would like now to introduce you with a new mindset, which is very much connected to empathy, which is very much connected to, taking a step back to understand what people want and what people need. All right. And this new mindset is what we call as design thinking. Now, design thinking, you can see there are 5 little balls, round circles there. Yeah. 5 little circles there with the stages that we have to go through in design thinking. First stage is empathy. Next is define. Third is ideate. Then we build a prototype. And finally, we'll do the testing. So design thinking will be these 5 phases. We'll go through these 5 phases. Now, you may ask, what is design thinking? Now, design thinking is a process for creative problem solving. That means you are using it as a tool or a mindset to help you come up with very innovative solutions. It is human-centered because it listens to the needs of the people, all right? It encompasses technology and also at the same time, business acumen. So design thinking is a process, all right, that will look into the needs of the people, coupled with technology and also business acumen. So what you see here is that it is an integration of several areas that we need, okay, to understand the problem in businesses, the problem in how technology can help us to drive our business, coming up with innovative solutions. Now, it is a process that starts with people and ends with innovative solutions. Why is that so? Because when you talk about design thinking, later on, you'll see the examples that it involves every one of us in a group when we do brainstorming. A mindset that suits all ages of people for use in all situations. Right? Now, we have actually tried design thinking on primary school students, looking into some issues. We have also tried this on secondary school students, all right, university students, executives in the corporate sector, and many others. Right. What is important here is to understand some of the facts about design thinking. So design thinking has a high sense of belongingness because every one of us will be grouped together, to come up with our own solutions. Yes, it is a tool that will help us to think out of the box, discovers endless opportunities for innovation, better outcomes to have, and higher competitive advantage. So these are some of the important things about design thinking that I would like to share with all of you. Now, you may ask, who teaches design thinking? MIT teaches design thinking. Oxford teaches design thinking. Cambridge, INSEAD, NUS, and also our own design school in Malaysia. So when you look at all these big universities, they are teaching design thinking, and henceforth how design thinking is useful to all of us. So today, my job is to introduce to you what design thinking is, all right? Of course, we will not be able to go through the practical side of it, Yeah, but let us now start off with the understanding of the design thinking first, right? What are the phases of design thinking? So I've said earlier on, there are 5 phases. The first phase is empathize. So what is empathize? Empathize means now I am confronted with a challenge. All right, I am now confronted with a challenge. How do I tackle it? That is empathize. The next stage, you go into define. You look into the problem in detail, taking a step back to understand them. And here, therefore, you will be able to learn something. So when you learn something, the question that you ask is, how do I process it? All right. So from empathize, we move on to define. And the third stage now we are going into is what we call as ideate. So ideate is the stage where you will see a lot of opportunities. You will brainstorm, all right, and you will be able to come up with very, very innovative solutions, variety of solutions. And you will then ask yourself, what do I create with all this information now that I have seen in the opportunities? Now, after ideate, what we do here is that we will move into prototyping. Prototyping here is where we will build the ideas that we get from our ideation stage. All right. So you will ask yourself, how do I build it? How do I build this prototype? Okay. So I repeat, first stage, empathize. I have a challenge. Second stage, define. I learned something. Third stage, ideate. I see an opportunity. Fourth stage, prototype. I have an idea. And now we move on to the last stage, which is test. All right. And the test is talking about I am now trying something out from the prototype. And how can I further improve that prototype? All right. So now when you see that there are these 5 phases of design thinking, we will then go through the design thinking phases with examples. All right. I will show you what are the tools that you can use in each of these phases so that you are able to see the excitement, the fun of it. Yeah. Why we want to look into design thinking. Right. First of all, let us see what is our challenge. All right. So our problem. So the problem here is that Munchie Bunchy, seller of toys, has a successful line of miniature called Lazy Meow. Right. That means Munchie Bunchy is selling a doll called Lazy Meow. Now, recently, sales has been successful in country A and country B, but the same products have not sold well in country C. Right? So what now we need to do is that we need to help the chief marketing officer, who is the CMO, to identify what are the problems. Yeah, why the sales of Munchie Bunchies, Lazy Meow in country C is not doing well and is facing with poor sales. Right? So the CMO wants us to help him. So let us find out more on how and why this is happening in country C, and what are the tools that we will be using, yeah, to help us go through the phases of design thinking. Right. The first stage is what we call as empathize. Empathize. Now, what happened here is that we say that we have a challenge. So what is your challenge? The challenge here is that the sales of Lazy Meow has been low in country C. So what happened next is that we will try to use this map, which we call it as empathy map. All right, we call this as empathy map. So in the empathy map, what do you see? You see that, people are asking the question of what do they think and feel, right? What do they think and feel? What do they see? What do they say and do? What do they hear? What are the pain points and what are the gains? So basically what happened here is you are going to use this particular empathy map, write down what you think or what you see the people are thinking and feeling. All right. What do you see from people buying those products? What do people say about the product? And what do the people do with the product? All right. And what do you hear from the people talking about the product itself? So now the product is Lazy Meow, which is a toy, right? So what you can see here is you will maybe hear people saying that Lazy Meow is cheap, right? It's cheap. It's a cheap toy, right? That people will be afford to buy. So you go into all the things that you hear from people, all right, from the potential customers, from the existing customers, or from the public, yeah, things that you hear from them. And what you do here is that you are going to put down all of them, yeah, into the quadrant of here. So you hear that it is cute, all right? You hear that people saying blah, 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 all right? You may hear that people saying that it is very difficult to buy Lazy Meow because it is not easily accessible in the hypermarkets. It can be that as well, all right? Now, after looking into hearing, we will then look into what you think they are thinking, what you think they are feeling, or when you can do interviews, you can also ask the people what they think and feel about Lazy Meow. All right. Then people may answer you that, the kids may like it. Yeah. The kids may like it because it is a soft toy. Take, for example. Now, then after which we will move on to the next one on C. What do you see? All right. Then people might say that, Lazy Meow looks ugly. Yeah, Lazy Meow looks ugly. Lazy Meow is too small. Yeah, the size of Lazy Meow is too small, and it doesn't have variation, for example. So these are some of the things that you may get from the public, that you hear from them, that you hear from the customers. As I said, whether they can be the existing customers, they can be the potential customers. All right, then say and do. What happened? So you may say that people are actually buying that as birthday presents for the kids. Okay, so these are all the items that you will put onto the different quadrants, and all these things are from the people that you are talking to, or people whom you are interviewing. All right, or you might be, getting all this information collated from a discussion, okay, or of several people within your group. So this particular empathy map is a tool that help you or help us to sort of like, elicit all those information that we do not know at all, but now we know from the people whom we have spoken to. All right. Now, next, what is the pain about? The pain here is, as I said, it might be very difficult to find. Yeah, it might be very difficult to find this product in the shopping center, in the, for example, in the hypermarket. All right, why is it hard to find? Because it may be hidden somewhere at the very corner of the hypermarket. That is a pain that the users are experiencing. Now, it may have some gains as well. Why? Some gains? Gains because kids may like it very much, right? Kids may like that, okay, because they find that it is nice. Yeah. It may have some form of a privileged status if they own one. Take, for example. Okay. So now we have completed the empathy map. And with this empathy map, we are going to really understand deeper in it. And now we know about Lazy Meow, and we can then relate it back to the challenge that we see earlier. All right. Lazy Meow sales in country C is not doing well. So these are all the responses that you see from the people you spoke about lazy meow in country C. And with that now, you start to realize and learn a lot of things about lazy meow. Who gives us this information? The people whom we have spoken to. All right. And because we are taking a step back to further understand the people, this is what we call as empathize, yeah, or the process of empathy. Okay. Now I hope all of you can follow me, yeah, through this example. It is as I said, we only have about an hour or so, so we will not be able to transform this into a what do you call that, into a practical session. But of course, if you love to have a practical session and all that, you may later, speak to your lecturers, and I will be very happy to run these practical workshops for all of you. Right. So after empathize, we move on to the second stage. Define. Define is the stage where we want to further understand that particular group of people whom we have spoken to. All right. In the stage of define, I want to learn more. I want to learn something extra. All right. So that I will be able to understand what you have said in the empathy map earlier on. So in order to look into the define stage, we will use this particular tool called the point of view, okay, where we will talk about what is the things, what are the things the different groups of people would actually need. So in this case here, we have this problem statement, what do you call that, template, where we will have user, and then we look at the need of the user, and from there we gain some insights. We would like to understand much more about the different user groups. Yes. So if it is a toy, the user group can be the kid, can be the parents who are buying it for them, and who can be also gifts searcher, people who are looking for gifts. All right. So let us look at the first group of user, parents. Now, what do you think the parents would need from the toy? Yeah. So the parents may need this toy because they are actually looking for presents for the kids. All right. And from there, what do you think that the parents would like to have from the toy? They hope that the toy has educational values. All right. So now what we are doing here is we are actually moving into the moving into the understanding of the user deeper. All right. Parents might also see that the presents are not suitable for the kids. All right. Why? Because the name is called Lazy Meow. It is not nice to call the toy lazy, and henceforth buying the toy for the kids. So you may see two different sides of the point of view. One side says that it is interesting, yeah, they wanted to buy it as a present for the kids, but it must be educational, okay. And the other side of the parents group is that, oh no, this is not the one that we're going to buy for the kids, because not only it does not have educational values, it has also a what do you call that, a name which is not sounds nice, Lazy Meow. All right. So what we do here is actually to understand the user group by group. So we have done with the parents. We will then look into the other user groups, who are the kids. Yeah, who are the kids. So what does the kid needs? The kid needs a toy, right? It doesn't matter. They need a toy. What kind of toys? That's fine. Okay. And then what's the insight? The insight is that they must make sure that, the toy is trendy. Okay, so if you can take examples like Labubu and all that, yeah, you will see, how kids actually look into buying toys following the trends. Then you might look into other groups. Yeah, you have parents, you have kids. Okay, you can also have other groups like friends who are buying gifts for their friend's birthday, for example. So by defining all this, we will see that now we understand the user groups needs more, and also at the same time, what are the insights that we can get from this particular exercise? All right. So what we have here is that, if you can recall, we have empathize. We have this map to allow us to understand the different groups of people whom we have spoken to. And then we move on to define, okay, where we actually we zoom into more niche group of users, talk to them, understand more, I can get in more information from them. All right, so that's define. So you have empathize, second stage, define. Now, we'll then move on to the third stage. Third stage here is the stage where we will ideate. Yeah, we will ideate. And in the process of ideation, we will see an opportunity, right? We'll see an opportunity. So ideation can be done through brainstorming. Now, a lot of times when we do brainstorming, we will find that it is actually quite a waste of time, if you agree with me. All right. Now, the reason being is because people who do not like to talk will keep quiet. And people whom have a lot of ideas will keep on talking. All right. So in this case, brainstorming will not benefit all the parties in the group. Okay. But only to look into what the person who speaks more wants them to do. So whoever that can control the discussion of the team will be more influential. Now, in design thinking, we don't do that, because in design thinking, we use tools that will involve everyone of the group, every member of the group, to participate. You will see that, the tools we're going to use later on, which I'm going to show you later on, will actually involve all people of the group. Whether you give a good answer or a lousy answer, it doesn't matter, because in design thinking, all answers or all suggestions are good. Okay, now all of us have to remember Facebook comes from a silly idea. All right, and today everyone is living with Facebook. Yeah, but of course, it may not be for your generation, it may be for my generation, right? So, all in all, what I'm trying to say here is we have to ensure that all of us participate, and henceforth, brainstorming will become efficient and effective. All right. So, ideation is the stage where we will now think about solutions. What are the alternative solutions that we can have? That is on ideation. All right. Now, what I want to show you today is actually a tool, right, by the name of three magical words. Yeah. Three magical words. Yeah. And these three magical words is interesting because they are words which are totally not related to one another. But however, when we combine them together, we will be able to ideate out some interesting solutions. All right. Now, let's see what is this three magical words is about. So, our main concern or challenge that we see earlier on is that how to make sales of Lazy Meow better in country C. Okay, Remember just now our challenge is that country C sales performance for Lazy Meow is not good. All right. So what happened now here is we want you to just shout out any 3 words. Okay, any 3 words. For example, someone will shout out the word color. Okay, random words. Yeah, random words, color. Now, then the next person will actually shout out another word, which is basically, never mind, we go through one by one first. Yeah, so we have this thing called color. So when we have color, we will now want to sort of like come up with words which are very close to it, all right, or represent something about it. Okay, so when you talk about color, what is the next word that you think will be relevant to color, all right, or close to color? So what you can say here is it might be a rainbow. Yeah, so color, rainbow, okay, connected. Flower, yes, we have all the beautiful colors of the flowers, so it will be related to color as well. Then we also talk about others. Yeah, for example, color will mean happiness. Take for instance. All right. So what we do here now is we try to actually come up with 5 similar words to color. Yeah. What we have done here is only for 2, 3, and 4. So what else resembles color? Oh, red. Yes, you might call it red. It's a color. And then the last one is life. For example, yes, you have color, you have life, right? So what you do now here is that you have the first sentence color, which has been randomly given. Then you find the related words of color, okay, so that you have 6 of them. Yeah, 6 of them in one column, all right? Then we do the same for the next 2. So now you may want to shout out a word, and you may want to say that the word is fly. Yeah, fly. So think about what are the things that can actually resemble fly. Okay, you might think about birds. Yes, birds to fly. What else? Drones. Take for example, drones. Yes, drones to fly. Freedom. Yes, when you talk about fly, it may mean freedom to you. Then you talk about sky, yeah, fly in the sky, related, and air. So now what you have here is the second set of words which are related to fly. Okay, so you have color with the related words. You have the second column, fly, with the related words. Okay, and then now we'll look into the third sentence, or third word, sorry. The third word may come to you as culture, all right, as culture. So what do you think are the similar words that you can use to replace or to connect with culture? So you might think that, oh, culture is tradition. Yes, culture is tradition. That's right. Boring. Yes, some people might say that culture is boring. Yeah. Old. Yes, culture is old. It's a tradition. It's an age-old practices that we are still using or practicing. Civilization. Yes, it's a civilization. And then finally, it is our roots. Yeah, it is our roots. So what is important here is that now we have come up with 3 sets of 6 magical words. Sorry, 3 sets of magical words from the 3 magical words which are color, fly, culture. Right? So you can do this anytime when you have what do you call that? When you have a brainstorming session that will help you to come up with a more structured and also innovative solutions. So what do we do next with all this? Now, you're going to take a dice. Yeah, you're going to take a dice and you will toss the dice. Yeah, you will toss the dice. I'll show you. You will do this. Okay, so what you do here is you will throw the dice. Yeah, you throw the dice. That's what you do. You toss the dice, and let's imagine that the die comes up to us at 3. Yes, 3. So 3 in the first column, what do? You calculate the third one. 1, 2, 3. That means it is flower. Yes, flower. So now you have picked flower from column 1. So you toss the dice again. Yeah, toss the dice again. And you may find that the die may also show you again number 3. All right, coincidentally, number 3 again. So number 3 is what? Fly 1, birds 2, drones is number 3. So you have drones, right? And then finally, you do the last toss of the dice, and you have 2. And 2 is tradition. So what you do now here is that you have identified these 3 magical words called flower, drones, tradition. Now we're going to put them together, all right? Even though they are disconnected, we put them together, and from the 3 words, we then ideate ideas, yeah, that will come up to be interesting for your challenge. So in this case, what we have here is flower, drones, and tradition. Yeah, 332. So I hope you know how to use this particular tool. Yeah, I repeat, you have the challenge, then you come up with the 3 words, the initial 3 words, which are color, fly, culture, and then from each of these initial words, you will then give the relevant words or connected words to color, the same for fly, the same for culture. All right, then you have this combination of 18 words. You take a dice, toss it, all right, and it will tell you the number for the first column, which is flower, the number for the second column, which is drones, the number, which is tradition, for the third column. All right. So with this information, what we're going to do now here is that we are going to sort of like create our prototype. Okay. Create our prototype. Yes. Now, before we continue, I think it is good that we have a break. Is it possible to have a break?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So maybe we have a break of 10 minutes, then we'll come back to continue the rest. Yeah, thank you. Meanwhile, if the students have any questions, you can write it on the chat box, all right, so that I will be able to respond to you. So we will continue at 3:40. Yeah, 3:40. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay, thank you so much. Yeah, we continue, yeah. Okay, so girls and boys, just to remind you of the phases of design thinking that we have been talking about before the break. We look at the first step, or the first phase called empathize, the second phase called define, and the third phase called ideate. All right, so now what we're going to do here is we will quickly go through how we are going to look into the ideation. Yeah, just to go through with you again on in actually using the tools called the 3 magical words. All right, and you'll be able to get these 3 words together: flower, drones, and tradition. So what you do now here is you try to imagine, how flower, how drones, and how tradition can actually help you in making the sales of Lazy Meow better. Okay, take for example now in the hypermarket, you realize that the sales of this particular product in country C is dropping. So what you can do is that you can do a fair. Yeah, imagine you do a fair and you have something drones. Yeah, you have a drone. So what can you think of if you have a drone? You might say that, okay, I will actually use a drone to direct my customers to the shelves where Lazy Meows are located, right? Remember why I'm saying this? I'm saying this because earlier on in your empathy map, there is this person who says that it is a pain because it is difficult to locate where Lazy Meow is in the hypermarket. So what we can do here is tentatively we think about drones. Drones, we can fly the drones so that the customer can follow the drones to the place where Lazy Meow is located. So now you see the use of this word called drones in helping us to be innovative. Now, what about tradition? You are in country C, yeah? Take, for example, let's say country C is China, for example, is China. China, most of the time, they love their tradition. And henceforth, they have the third word called tradition. So tradition, what can you do with tradition? Oh, you might want to build up a pavilion that looks like a Chinese building, right? A Chinese building. So now you have this thing called tradition. So what happened here is, if you look at the prototype, what you are doing now here is very simple. First of all, you have your pavilion, right? Under tradition, you created pavilion. So in the shopping center, you might want to create a pavilion that looks like this, for example, a Chinese pavilion. And then also you fly your drones, yeah. After the customers enter the mall, okay, they will do a registration in the pavilion, tradition, yeah, tradition. The reason why we have a pavilion coming out is because we look into tradition and we think about something related to tradition. Yeah, so we have the pavilion. And then once the customer register themselves at the pavilion, what they can do here is that they will then use the drones. They will fly the drones to bring the customer to the location where Lazy Meow is. All right, where Lazy Meow is. And henceforth now, what happened here is that the three magical words, which is tradition, drones, all right, this too has helped us to come out with an innovative solution to bring our customers to where Lazy Meow is displayed. All right. Now then you have flowers. Another word, flowers, which is not been used or think of yet. So flower. What can you do with flower? So maybe you can say that you would like to give flowers to all the Munchie Bunchies doll with flower, and it is limited edition. All right. So in here, what you do here is that the prototype that you have, that is your idea, is now coming from three words that are not related at all earlier on, which are tradition, drones, and flowers. And because we put these three words together, we are able to come out with an idea of how we can do things to improve the sales of Lazy Meow. So you see the interesting part of these three magical words. Yeah, you may spend some time to look into this with your friends. Yeah, on certain issues. If you have any assignments that you have to do, if you have any things that you want to look into for your own career in the future and all these things, you can always use design thinking, and of course the specific tools like three magical words to help you to be more creative, right? So I hope you understand now how prototype is connected, yeah, to these three magical words called flower, yeah, flower, drones, tradition. So what happened here, I repeat, so what happened here is that when I look at these three words, I suddenly remember that drones is something interesting. Okay, so I was thinking that, why not I use drones to direct my customers to where Lazy Meow is displayed, all right, answering the pain points of them when we looked into the empathy map earlier on. right? Then the second word is tradition. Oh, how do I make tradition? So I thought of, making a pavilion for people to register themselves, okay, before they are directed by the drones to where Lazy Meow is displayed, right? And then flower, I might want to look into flower as a additional gifts that I can give to the customers who are buying Lazy Meow, yeah, as a special edition. All right. So by looking at these three words, I have this idea of this particular prototype. Okay. So I hope you can also try this out when you're free with your friends and see how it works. Now, prototype can be a map, can be a drawing like what you have seen on the screen, all right? Or it can also be built by using, styrofoam, all these materials here that you can see. Yeah. So in this photo, what you see here is that it is actually a prototype of a car park. Yeah, prototype of a car park that is built by a group of students looking into a challenge of car park issue on campus. All right. So they were talking about, a building where they can actually put in cars, and the cars will be able to be taken up by the building and park it by themselves automatically and all that. So prototype can be a drawing, it can be a resolution, it can be a model that you create. Okay. Now, after prototyping, what we do here is that we will go into the last stage. So let's look into the first four stages: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and then now the last stage is test. So I am now trying something. So we will look into the likes of the people. We will look into the criticisms, the questions, the ideas that people give, and we try to improve on our prototype. All right. So you might have some people saying that, oh, I don't think flowers is a good example. It's a good gift. You might want to replace it with something else. And we take these ideas openly. All right. So by doing so, we will go back. If things are not, if the prototype is not perfect, we might then have to go back to the earlier stages. All right, and redo the steps. All right. So all in all, what we have learned here today is about the phases of design thinking. All right. So I would repeat myself. First stage, empathize. I look into the challenge. All right. Then I move into the next stage called define, where I learn something. The third stage called ideate, where now I see opportunities and I can think about solutions. Yeah. Prototype, I have an idea. I build the prototype from my ideation. All right. And then finally, we go into the test stage, which is I am trying something. So basically, these are the 5 stages that we have to go through. Now, you may ask, can we use the steps individually? The answer is yes, right? Take, for example, you might want to empathize something. So you use the empathy map and you have all the information. All right. Now, you might want to do ideation without going through empathize, define. That's fine. Okay. So you start off with ideation and you have your ideas. Okay. So phases of design thinking are 5, but they can be used selectively and individually. Right. So I just want to show you a little bit of the applications that we have, yeah, before we end the session, and we open the floor for questions and answers. Yeah. So the applications are many. Yeah. So you see, we actually use this particular design thinking for the HSBC Business Case Competition Workshop, where we use the tools to help the students to be, again, more innovative in their thoughts so that they can come up with good business solutions for the cases, the business cases that they are given. So this is one of the many application. Yeah. We also adopt this method, design thinking, for the UN SDGs. Basically, what we do here is that we want the students to let us know what's their plan, yeah, for UNSDG based on the SDGs that they have selected. Then we have also design thinking that we use for student societies' annual activities planning. So what we do here is that we will go for a 2-day retreat where we will go through all the issues using design thinking tools to come up with solutions or agenda for the coming year, all right, in terms of what the student societies want to do. So what is important here is that when you commit yourself into these solutions, you will see that, in the coming year, you will have to also ensure that the solutions that you have committed must be fulfilled. And that's where design thinking gives you a good set of mindset of behavior and also implementation and and also ensuring that you achieve your planned goals. Now, of course, in classes, we can do it. You can use design thinking, for our for our tutorials. Yeah, we also use design thinking for companies. Yeah, you see, all these are the adults where we look into how we want to increase sales of the company. And lastly, we also talk about design thinking, looking into what the marketing team can improve on for the coming years. All right. So basically, these are all the things that I would like to share with all of you today. And I hope that this short sharing will encourage you to think a little bit more. Take a step back and empathize so that you are able to solve the root cause problem instead of only symptoms. All right. So I would like to open the floor for questions now. If you have any questions, you may ask. Yeah. And if you have any requests, you can also tell us here. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Eugene, for such an inspiring and thought-provoking session. So now it's time for us to hear from you. So this is your opportunity to ask questions directly. So again, you can use the Slido, and we will also go through the questions that you already asked. So Prof. Eugene, here's the first question. So the first question was, how can we differentiate between challenge and improvement? So will the empathizing phase be any different when it comes to these two things?
Okay, challenge and
improvement.
Challenge and improvement. Oh. Okay, right. So basically, when you look into challenge, it will be something more of a, what do you call it? A motivation driver. Yeah, motivation driver. Whereas improvement is actually to look into how we will make things better. All right. And it can also be a challenge in that sense. All right. So when we talk about how we would like to empathize this, then we will have to ensure that the definition given to challenge and improvements of the particular issue that you are confronting or you are looking at must be well defined. And with the proper definition, we will then be able to differentiate between both of them. All right. So normally what we do is that we always go back to the definition of the keywords, right? So if you look at challenge, if you look at improvements, how are they different? Okay. And by looking at the differences between them, then what are the ways which we can empathize, right? And also to look into how we can build on top of the ideas that we have to ensure that you have a solution. All right. So I hope I answered that question.
Thank you, Prof. So for the next question is how to make sure when the students share a lot of ideas in their groups and when they make their discussion that they don't stray away from their goal or waste so much time doing so.
Okay, normally to overcome this problem, we will use tools. So that's why you look at the sharing just now, for all the 5 steps, we have tools. So all these tools are structured in the sense that it will make us to think in the parameter of our discussion. So that we won't go out of topic. All right. So if there is a I would say normally in a group discussion, there will be a facilitator. So the facilitator can also help to ensure that, discussion won't sway away from the original or initial objective. All right. So the tools are important. Okay. There are many tools that you can search online. Yeah. And you can also try it out. You will find that all these tools will help you to ensure that, your discussion is always narrowed down into the objective of yours. All right.
Thank you. So for the next question, so they asked for the initial 3 words. Could it be any random word, or does it have to be related to the problem?
The 3 magical words are random words. It is not related to the problem. That is what makes it interesting. All right. It is not connected at all. They are random words, but with these random words, you are able to come up with solutions when you put them together. Yeah. So they are random words.
And for the next one, somebody asked who actually uses the design thinking process. So maybe I think they're under the impression maybe only certain people, maybe certain streams can use it.
Yeah. No, design thinking is used by everyone. Okay. Companies like KPMG, companies like IBM, they are actually using design thinking in their brainstorming. All right. So it is useful for everyone, as I shared earlier on, even for kids. Yeah, we use design thinking. People who are, let's say, thinking about their careers, all right, they can also use design thinking as well. There is a university in US which actually use design thinking to help their students craft their career development. Yeah. So as I said, design thinking, there are 5 phases. If you don't have time to go through all the 5 phases, you can actually single-handedly pick, all right, either one of the phase which is connected to what you want to do, your objective. Like for example, you wanted to have a solution, so you go for ideation. So ideation will help you to sort of like think about, those solutions that will help you. All right.
Thank you. And for the next question, it's what have you worked on personally that you find the most interesting? So
well, okay. You see, as I showed you the photo just now, we have a group of students. Yeah, we actually went to what do you call it? We went to a bungalow stay for 2 days, and what we did in the bungalow stay was actually to go through all the issues of the clubs and societies that they are facing. All right. So we go through all the problems and we use design thinking tools to help us come out with solutions. And then the solutions, we collect them to become the resolution for next year for the club. All right. So next whole year, we monitor the club and we make sure that everything that we already agreed, in the team building or bungalow stay that we went, the retreat that we went, actually being implemented in the following years. So that is something very fulfilling because we never thought of that. Yeah, when we went over to have those activities, it is actually just trying to create awareness for the students about design thinking. But it came out to be such a powerful tool for us from that experience. So that is a very interesting experience. Now, besides that, you can also look into how design thinking helps companies. Just for example, in KPMG, some companies, they actually wanted to have databases. So they went straight to KPMG, and KPMG may say that, okay, you may tell KPMG that you need databases, but however, KPMG will use design thinking, all right, on the client to help the client understand whether they really need databases or not. Okay, it might be after the process, they realize that, oh, I do not actually need such a big thing called databases. I might just need some sort of information that will help the company to progress. So that is how design thinking is used, all right, to actually help companies, and also the one that I thought it is the most interesting one so far in my own practice. Yeah, thank you.
hopefully the students can get some ideas from your experience as well.
Exactly.
So for the next one is a student asked, is there a fixed format when you think about design thinking? So they mean besides just the 5 phases that we explore.
No fixed format. For as long as you go through the 5 phases, you can use any tools to help you in each process. All right. The tools that I've showed are actually one of the many, right? So if you want to look at tools, you can just Google and you will have a lot of design thinking tools coming out. So for as long as you are going through the phases, whatever tools that you use, it doesn't matter. You use tools which will make you, will give you fun, all right, and will make you interesting to continue trying to think more of the solutions that are needed.
And for the next one is talking about prototypes. So can prototypes be just methods or a way something is done, or should it be done only physical solutions?
No, it can be an idea, it can be something abstract. Yeah, that's why I said earlier on, it is something whereby you can imagine, right, and write it down as journals or write it down as resolution. That's fine.
And I think we have a student here who's already thinking about what topic he wants to explore. So he asked, what are your thoughts on the communication skills of the younger generation of today? Is it positive or negative, and how can we improve?
Oh, okay. Now, I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't dare to comment too much about, the communication styles of different generations. Yeah. But I think every generation has a different way of communicating. And even myself, from the, generation, the older generation, I would have to learn how to actually communicate with the young generation as well. So if we want to ensure that communication is done well, we can also use design thinking to ask ourselves, what are the ways that will help us to communicate better? So you may have, what are the ways to communicate better intergeneration? All right. And then you can use the 3 magical words, and then you find the words together and try to come up with solutions on how to actually speak or communicate better with people from other generations, for example. Yeah, and that is doable. Right?
Okay. And another person is asking how to confirm that the proposed solution actually really solves the problem.
Okay, how to confirm that? It depends on output. When you do it, do you have results? If you see results, then it works.
Okay. And probably the last question, because we are running short of time, how do we measure the limits of design thinking, or is claiming universal application itself a design flaw?
There is no limit onto that. Yeah, you can bring in your own creativity inside the phases. All right, and that is where it makes design thinking interesting, because at the end of the day, it is something whereby it will help us through our thinking thoughts, and it will ensure that the results that we produce are needed by the people in the community and within your circle of friends. Yeah.
Okay. And unfortunately, due to the time, we can't take every question, but do continue the conversation in our feedback forum, and also we'll try to answer it after the session. But as we wrap up, let's take a moment to thank Professor Eugene once again for sharing such deep insights, your personal experience into design thinking, and also inspiring us to think differently when it comes to solving our problems. Okay. So now I'd like to invite our stream coordinator.
So maybe before that, can I say a few words?
Yes. Yes.
So thank you so much, organizer, for getting me to have this talk. Yeah. And I want to thank all the students, girls and boys, for your time. I really appreciate your time listening to what I deeply would like to share, which I'm passionate about. And I hope that, this 1 hour sharing will actually give you a different view of seeing things, and you will be able to use it to ensure that whatever issues that you are confronting in the university, at home or at work in the future, we'll be able to come out, we'll be able to be given innovative solutions. Yeah. Thank you so much, all of you. You can always contact me in LinkedIn if you would like to know more about design thinking. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you once again, Professor Eugene. And now I'd like to invite our stream coordinator, Ms. Anna, to share some important announcements as well before we close the session. And of course, Ms. Anna will show you all the attendance as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm very sure that you are very big from today's session very much, and it'll be very important topic because all our case study will be based on design thinking, and also the contents we discussed today, introduced concepts will all be in your quizzes too. Before we take attendance, I just want to go through the few items as official and important announcement. The first thing is about timetable, and please, now you maybe can check on your Thales app. Section 1 class will covers the classes from week 1 to week 4. So we will have another 2 more mass lecture in week 3 and week 4. So please tune at time we schedule the class. And the add-on draw period will be until 6 October, which will be next Monday. So if you want to change the class time or class section, please do so by end of Monday, 6 October. After this, officially, we have no access to make any changes for your timetable. All right. Now we will take a look at the course site together. I hope you can go and check at the same time, synchronously together with me. You will be able to see from the main page of the module site. The first section is announcement. I really encourage you to check regularly the latest updates and announcement through this section. And the second thing is to download the Social Innovation Project Weekly Planner. And you need to go through the details in that planner and mark all the important deadlines, especially for the quiz and also case study submission, right? And for those students who missed out today's session, or because of technical issues, you couldn't pay attention for the entire session, you should be able to access to the recording through MyTimes. There are 2 ways you can watch. One is going through the YouTube live streaming. The link will be shared again on announcement section. Okay, so the latest announcement, I made it yesterday. I will put there all the links for you to review. Another platform will be Panopto for the cases that you are not able to access to YouTube app or YouTube page. Then you can use the Panopto to watch the recording. And lastly, I just want to explain a little further about grouping. I know just now when we are here, the coaches went through the questions. Actually, majority of the questions beside today's subject matter, it was about grouping. Grouping will start from next week, and it means on Friday before we start our session. On Friday, there will be an announcement, so you all can be able to access to the assessment and lesson and assessment module site, which is run and also coordinated by your coach. The respective coach will give you the link and the instructions together how to form the groups. So in these 2 weeks time, week 3 and week 4, you can put your names there in either shared spreadsheet or other platforms shared by the coach and form the group. And for your information, since we are not meeting in a physical classes, and I really hope to have your understanding, we might have a different group of friends and peers in the group. And this will be the opportunity, as this particular module, we expect to have multidisciplinary working together and learn from each other, exchanging opinions and different perspectives. Okay, and in terms of the number of the members in a group, we want to put the maximum number by 10. So let's say if there are 3 groups with 11 members, we want to urge you, and of course the coaches will guide you to separate the groups into 4. So it would be better to have 8 to 9 members in 4 different groups. Okay, that will be our direction. So please, I really hope to have your cooperation. If the group is so big, you will see some of you will turn to be like free riders or have a very minimum participation. It is not fair and it's not effective or effective learning. So hope to have everybody have the same understanding now. Have a number of students, 8 to or minimum rate 7 to 10 group members in one group. And lastly, here I also want to highlight that we cannot form the group with the group students from the other class. It means your entire group, if let's say you have 8 group members, all of you 8 should be in the same class under the same coach, even though the coach is same. If the class section is different, sorry, we are not accepting such cross-section, cross-class grouping. So please make sure you find a right class group and then form a group according to that instruction. Okay, anything you are a bit confused, please drop me a message. Okay, either via my Teams, or you can also send the questions, inquiries via my MS Teams. Okay, so during this section, week 1 to 4, I will be in charge in the assessments, the class and also the attendance. So all things related to the class management for the mass lectures and also the attendance matters, please write to me. Starting from week 5 and onwards, the inquiries related to the assessment as well as the attendance will go to your respective coaches. I hope it's clear, and I will also put all these things in our announcement section after this class, so you all can be can review all other details mentioned just now. Finally, yeah, it's time to take attendance, and starting from this week, we are going to take attendance in all three mass lectures. So please make sure you join on time and also take attendance accordingly. Let me refresh the page. I can see the increasement of the viewer number now. So those who are joining now, you came here to take attendance. I hope you can take some time to watch the recording, since the contents we discussed and introduced by Prof. Eugene is very valuable and important for your case study all the while in this module. All right, so please wait for a while before we have our official closing. Regarding the live streaming link, I just noticed after we start the session, the link embedded in the week 2 section was not working. Apologies for the confusion, and please use the link we provide in the main page right after the banner. You should be able to see the highlighted in red. That please use the link for the coming mass lectures too. All right, so I will stop here for attendance and pass it to Mr. Colin, our host. Thank you.
Thank you. So as a closing, we'd like to thank again everybody in our technical team, the moderators, and also, of course, Professor Eugene. And most importantly, also all of you for attending and participating in the event. So on behalf of the organizing team, thank you all for joining us. So we hope you all can keep innovating, maybe learn something and you can even start thinking of your ideas already. And we hope to see you all next Friday as well, where we're going to explore a little bit further into another aspect of this course that's also going to be very vital to your exploration of the topic. Okay, so till then, take care and we'll see you all next week.